Well, it's Monday afternoon, so what do we know about Isaac right now?
Well, this time it's been pretty uncertain over the last few days about what's going to happen. It seems as though the information that we have is kind of starting to finally focus on southeast Louisiana and far southwest Mississippi as kind of the track of the storm. Now, it's important not to focus on the exact center. That's where the center would go. Typically, the right-hand side of the storm, to the right of where the center moves, is the most affected area, with heavy rainfall, possible tornadoes, even some stronger winds are in that area. So we're in that kind of quadrant, if everything works out the way it looks right now, where we could have those very, very heavy rainfall, certainly potential tornadoes, and some strong enough winds probably to bring some trees down, aided by the fact that the ground's probably going to be so wet. We serve a 58 county area that includes about 2/3 of Mississippi. Our job is to forecast the weather on a daily basis, whether it's winter time, tornadoes, hurricanes, focus on this area. The track forecasting is done by the National Hurricane Center. Then we take that information and make it local to our area. You know, how much do we think it's going to rain here? How strong are the winds going to be here, based off of their track?
It's fighting right now with dry air. Yeah, well, one of the main
at least so far, what it's found is a minimum pressure of 985, and then those are just the different winds. They basically fly a figure 8 type pattern. They use instrumentation, drop sondes, but they drop into the storm.
And they can call this like from the plane, like they can say this has conditions, it's a hurricane.
Well, that happens sometimes, yeah. What we've got on the right-hand side here is a satellite imagery. We have various types of satellite imagery. This happens to be a visible imagery. If you were way up in space, this is literally what it would look like when you're looking down from the satellite. So, you know, we use satellite imagery to follow the trends. You know, a hurricane or tropical storm, you want to follow the structure of the storm. You want to follow the center versus where the particular thunderstorms are developing and moving around. And, you know, one problem with this system, when I say problem, I mean that it hasn't developed as strongly as anticipated, is it just hasn't gotten quite organized right around the center. So for a tropical system to really intensify, that's what you look for. This has had a broad, widespread wind field that is kind of affecting a large area, but has not allowed it to get as intense as it might otherwise have. See these bright tops here, or these wider areas are, you see the spin there, that the center is kind of right in this area right here. You know, we don't see, this is not a strong enough system yet where you're going to see that big classic eye. Hopefully it doesn't get that strong, but you'd be watching for that type of structure in the storm. We wouldn't be able to see this at night. We just need light. So we have infrared, where you can see how cold the cloud tops are. Right here you've got on this particular buoy a peak wind in the last hour, 52 knots, which is pushing 65 miles an hour, between 60 and 65. So you know that there's some pretty strong winds on the south side of that. It's taken up a very large area, several hundred miles across, and that really has been a little bit of a factor as to why it hasn't developed as much, because like I said, it's so big, it needs to almost kind of constrict down a little bit to become intense at the center of it. And you can see, if you go back to here, it was 992, which is already too high. By the time it gets close to the coast, it's 983, which the lower that pressure gets, the more likely the winds are going to increase and the storm becomes stronger. If you had perfectly spaced data and a perfect model, you might be able to make a perfect forecast, but none of that happens. It's just why there's problems with tropical forecasting, because you just don't have enough information. Yeah, I mean, it's a very different storm for Katrina. We don't want to, maybe people think this is a Katrina. It's obviously not, but it's certainly, tremendous heavy rainfall is certainly possible. Tornadoes are possible. Some winds in the Jackson area may be gusting 40, 45 miles per hour by Tuesday night through Wednesday night, maybe even into Thursday is certainly possible. And if you throw those kind of wind gusts and get 5 to 10 inches of rain, that's enough to actually bring trees down just from how wet the soil is going to be. So the rainfall is a big risk. Flash flooding is possible, river flooding down the road a couple days. a tornado or two is possible, and then the trees coming down. So it'll depend on the exact track, and some places will get hit worse than others. That's always kind of hard to tell until the last minute, but certainly, I think if people will pay attention and just be safe, then they'll be fine.